Artichoke first came to Derry to do all the planning for Lumiere in 2013, and we were here for about 18 months getting to know everybody, the communities, different people, making friends with people and understanding what the issues were that surrounded living in a post-conflict city like this. When we were talking, one of the things that came up constantly was the issue of bonfires in Northern Ireland, where individual communities light these bonfires. They're extraordinary, huge edifices made often by local children, but they're full of tyres, they're full of effigies of people that they hate, and they're very sectarian in nature. And I began to wonder whether there was something you could do to turn that bonfire tradition on its head.
The way that I got involved in doing a temple was maybe 15 years ago. A young kid that I was working with was killed on a motorcycle, and I had found some material at a dump, and I thought this would be a cool thing to make something out of. And when he got killed, we weren't going to go to the desert, and then at the cemetery, at the graveyard, his friend said, you know, Michael would have wanted us to go. So we went to the desert and built this thing, and it wasn't a temple. When we did it, about maybe 100 people put names in it. So the next year when Burning Man asked me to come back and build a temple, I agreed to do it, but I thought, what would I make a temple to? I'm not a Jew or a Catholic. What I did is I thought suicide was, you know, I know suicide is a tough thing for people to close. So I thought, you know, Burning Man people, you know, tolerate and understand a whole lot of stuff that the outside world doesn't, you know, and I thought, we'll build a temple that's dedicated to suicide. And that year, 10,000 people put names in the temple. So it became kind of a tradition, you know, the next year, 20,000 people put names in it, you know, and then the last temple I did, there was 40,000 people around it at the end of the night.
I knew about the work of David Best in the Burning Man Festival in Nevada Desert and thought perhaps we could bring David as an artist with the values that are associated with his temple burnings, which are to do with peace, love, reconciliation, meditation, kind of spiritual renewal, and maybe in this community put him to work in a way that allowed this thing to be built, that was creating a shared space in a way in which people could bring offerings, mementos, memories, messages, and try to ditch some of the stuff from the past that they need to leave go in order to move on.
Nerve Centre had a two-level community programme with the project. We trained up 30 digital apprentices, working with young unemployed people from the city to give them digital skills to help make some of the panels that went into the temple. Alongside that, we worked with 20 schools in the city to give them an opportunity to design the panels, to come up with ideas that were important to them around the central themes of the temple. And then the third dimension was a community outreach and drop-in programme where people came into the Fab Lab and we went out to several community groups, community organisations.
Post the initial training phase, there's been quite a number of things that they've gone on to do. A lot of them have gone on to work in the construction of the temple, and some are working as temple guardians, and they've become very attached to the project. And you know, we're talking to them and they're making statements of it's been life-changing and sort of as strong as that.
The whole idea of the temple, that you bring whatever is burdening you, you take it to the temple, you leave a reminder of what you need to leave behind. It's held in a sacred place. Whatever is in there, all the wishes, all the intentions, all the burdens will just be burnt, and hopefully it'll be a start of a lot of us letting go. We have our peace process in Northern Ireland, but a lot of us are still encumbered by the past. It's ingrained, it's what our grandparents, our parents, it's what we know. And you know, to me the bonfire is a real cultural icon in Northern Ireland, maybe not always for good reasons, and this is a bonfire of hope.
They came here about 3 weeks ago two top of hill down in our centre. They ask for local volunteers. So I went there, and David told us a story. Fascinated with his story, so I just thought, right, I should help out here. Like, this is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity here on top of hill, and it might even change our bonfires.
So the temples that I make, people go in and they kind of, like they go in thinking it's a party. And then you walk inside and there's somebody who's made peace with themselves about something. If you're engineering a building that's going to take the worst possible thing that can happen to someone, it has to be delicate and gentle, and it also has to be strong.
So Derry's quite a unique town, and that there's quite a lot of division from, as a legacy of the Troubles that were at their height in the 70s and 80s. Now normally this is an area that people would feel quite unwelcome and quite fearful to enter. So the temple project has been incredible, and that it's opened up this area and this wonderful space and this great view to the entire city.
There's something about allowing people to be a part of something, that as opposed to a work of art that you stand back and you look and you maybe revere, but this is like, it's a structure, and it will just be a shell of a structure unless people actually add to it.
Here in this city, there are so many people carrying so much tragedy and so much pain, and the opportunity just for people to put something down, not to forget it, but to put it down and not be burdened by it anymore. And if 1 in 1,000 people that come here take that opportunity, then it's going to be something worth doing.
Come up on Tuesday. It was a really beautiful day, absolutely gorgeous. So we spent a long time here, going around reading the messages.
Yeah, I wrote a wee message for my nana that passed away.
I'm just here to see this beautiful work of art. I've been here last Wednesday actually with my family, and I just couldn't help but to go back again. I did write a wee memoir for my mom, which is already in heaven. I just want to let go now, I think. But for me, she will never be forgotten anyway.
When you go around and you read the messages that's left, there's messages about domestic violence, about loss, suicide. I lost my daughter. She was very young, and I was able to write a personal message to her, which really made me feel better.
For everybody that comes here, they've got their own reason to be here. They've got their own story they want to tell. They've got their own piece of history they want to let go of. Seconds after that photograph, after thinking that he'd actually run past me, I looked on the ground and he was lying in the corner on the kerb, half on and half off it, shot through the spine. And I watched the soldier walk over and just put another round in his back. And I'm the last guy out of Glenfada Park on Bloody Sunday. And maybe it's time to put this down, not to forget about it, but just to put it down. And I'm going to take that opportunity here now. I just wish anybody who has a burden that leaves it here actually does leave it here. It's not about forgetting, it's actually about remembering. And it's about letting go.
you.